My 6-year-old grandchild trembled with a cord tied around their neck. "Grandma, help! My parents dumped me! Grandma, help me!" I was stunned to see my 6-year-old granddaughter Lauren asking for help. To my surprise, she was chained indoors. I hugged my granddaughter tightly, noticing how thin she had become. "Where's your mom and dad?" I asked, my voice trembling with fear. "They locked me up and went on a trip," she whimpered, her voice barely a whisper. "They haven't given me anything to eat or drink for 3 days." My heart sank. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My son and his wife had done this to their daughter. I quickly pulled out a bottle of tea from my bag and gave it to Lauren, along with a piece of caramel. Then I frantically called an ambulance. Lauren, exhausted and scared, closed her eyes in my arms. I couldn't forgive them for what they had done. I vowed to make them pay for their cruelty. I'm Hannah, 65 years old. I work part-time at a 24-hour supermarket about 4 days a week. My husband passed away 5 years ago, leaving me alone. He left me with enough assets to live comfortably, but I decided to keep working while I was still healthy. My eldest son, Bradley, got married 8 years ago and lives in a house about 30 minutes away. My eldest daughter, Lily, also got married 6 years ago in a neighboring state. I felt reassured knowing that I could visit her whenever I wanted. Some people say that living alone is lonely, but I find it freeing and carefree. However, there was one thing that worried me: my eldest son and his wife. Evelyn, my son's wife, was 10 years younger than him. She was only 18 when they married, which I found to be too young. I was apprehensive from the start. The first time I met Evelyn, she was working part-time at the convenience store where Bradley was the manager. You're Bradley's mom? You're so young," she said with a surprised look. "Evelyn regards," I replied politely. "Nice to meet you. I'm Hannah. I'm glad you seem like a kind person." "Hey, can you give me money, Bradley?" she asked, looking at my son. "Please ask her for some too." Her flashy makeup and spoiled behavior made me feel uneasy. She didn't use honorifics and was already asking for money. Bradley, blinded by his young girlfriend, simply chuckled. "See, Mother, Evelyn is cute, isn't she? Think of her as a real daughter and give her some pocket money." I wanted to slap my son's head at his oblivious remark, but I held back because Evelyn was standing there. "I'm sorry, I don't have any money right now," I said, trying to maintain my composure. "Damn it," Evelyn muttered, her pointed mouth set in a pout. To be honest, I wanted to oppose their marriage from the beginning, but I had no choice but to approve it because Evelyn was already pregnant with Bradley's child. Even though Evelyn was young, I thought that motherhood might calm her down a bit. But my hopes faded away after they got married. She started asking me to run errands for her, citing reasons like severe morning sickness and a heavy body. "Mother-in-law, I'm so upset and uncomfortable," she complained. "Shop and make dinner. I like steak." "What do you eat meat when you feel nauseous?" "Well, it's for Bradley," she explained. "I only eat a little." "Oh, I got it," I said, trying to be patient. "I can eat ice cream. Buy some too." I wanted to complain about her lack of consideration, but I couldn't find the words to respond to her thinly veiled demands. On top of everything else, Evelyn started asking me for money because she said Bradley's income was too low and they couldn't live comfortably. So I gave her about $5,000 a month. "That's right, the store has been in a bad state lately and my salary has been reduced," Bradley explained when I questioned him. "Monthly help helps. Thank you, Mother. We'll take care of you when you get old." Aside from the story of old age, I thought to myself, the fact that his son and his wife were struggling financially was exactly what Evelyn said. Because she is pregnant, it must be difficult for Evelyn to work. $5,000 was my part-time fee, but I had no choice. We're a family, so we have to help each other when things are hard. Evelyn's family is far away and she's still young. With that in mind, I gave in to her request. However, they didn't understand my feelings at the time. I had no way of knowing that my son and his wife would cause such an incident. My interactions with my selfish daughter-in-law made me feel uncomfortable, but Evelyn's pregnancy went smoothly and she gave birth to a cute little girl. They named her Lauren. "Evelyn, you did a great job," I said, reaching out to her after she gave birth. "She's such a pretty girl." But her response surprised me. "Huh, she's not cute at all," she said, her voice sharp. "She doesn't look like me. Her eyes are narrow and ugly, just like yours." I couldn't believe my ears. "She has just given birth and the baby's face is a little swollen," I said gently. "But eventually the swelling will go down. She has beautiful eyes and a beautiful nose, and she looks like you, Evelyn." "Hey, how do you think such an ugly baby looks like me?" Evelyn asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Suddenly I felt a chill run down my spine. My daughter-in-law was sharp and she wasn't backing down. Even Bradley, standing next to her, began to agree with his wife. "You may be right," he said, his voice lacking conviction. "I wish she looked like Evelyn." I was stunned by their remarks, but I could only hope that my daughter-in-law was emotionally unstable just after giving birth, and that she would eventually understand how cute the baby was. However, even after that, perhaps because of Lauren's features, Evelyn kept asking me to run errands as she had before she got pregnant. My granddaughter, on the other hand, grew up to be a sweet and playful child. She started speaking early at the age of 2. "Grandma, I love it," she would say, her voice filled with joy. I remember being so happy that I cried. "Grandma loves Lauren too," I would tell her. "She's a cute treasure." Lauren was so pure and obedient that she seemed like an easy child to raise. However, Evelyn was always scolding her young daughter. "Oh, noisy! I can't hear the TV," Evelyn complained one day. "Isn't Lauren crying because she wants to spoil her mommy?" It's my child, so don't give me extra instructions," Evelyn said, her voice rising as she scattered the things on the coffee table and turned up the volume of the TV. I was worried about her not raising her child properly, so I took care of my granddaughter at my son's house whenever I could, during my part-time work and on holidays. Eventually, however, Evelyn's behavior began to disgust me. By the time Lauren was over 4 years old, Evelyn had become increasingly inconsiderate and careless. One day I bought a delicious snack as a souvenir for Lauren, so I visited my son's house. I pressed the intercom button, but no one came out. I pressed it several times, and finally the door opened. Evelyn, with a bright red face, stormed out. "It's been noisy a lot," she said angrily. "Don't you see that you're being shunned? What, you don't want me to come? It's because of you that Lauren will miss her grandmother more than her mother." To my surprise, Bradley was standing behind Evelyn. "Mother, stop bothering your daughter-in-law," he said. "Please don't come to my house anymore. But Lauren, she's our daughter, so it's none of your business." I couldn't help but worry about my granddaughter, but I couldn't match her parents. I had no choice but to give up going to my son's house. Bradley, despite his refusal to let me visit, made a generous request. "Well, I don't have enough money to live on, so please keep sending me money every month," he said. He claimed that he wanted to use the money to feed Lauren delicious food and dress her beautifully. I couldn't be around my granddaughter, but I kept sending money because I thought it would be used for her. However, in hindsight, no matter how much he hated me, I should have continued to show up at my son's house. If I had, maybe this terrible incident wouldn't have happened. When Lauren turned 6 years old, a terrible incident occurred. I sometimes go to work before 5 o'clock in the early morning. One day, when I passed by my son and his wife's house, the lights were on for 3 days in a row, even though they were usually not on. I became suspicious. The next day, I visited their house. The front door was open, and as I entered, I was met with an unusual scene. "Grandma, help me!" Lauren cried out, her voice trembling. She was chained to a pillar in the living room. There was no heat in the room, and she was shivering from the cold. I rushed to hug my granddaughter, feeling her thin frame. I hadn't seen her for a while, and she had lost so much weight. Her face was pale and bloodless. "Where's your mom and dad?" I asked, my voice choked with emotion. "They locked me up and went on a trip," she whispered. "They haven't given me anything to eat or drink for 3 days." I quickly searched my bag, gave her the bottle of tea, and put the caramel in her mouth. I frantically called an ambulance. Lauren closed her eyes reassuringly in my arms. I couldn't forgive them for doing such a terrible thing. The ambulance arrived, and I accompanied Lauren to the hospital. I tried to contact my son and his wife on my cell phone, but I couldn't get through. Lauren's life was saved, but her nutritional condition was quite poor, and she had to be hospitalized. My worries intensified when the hospital reported the incident to the police. I was interviewed. "Did you put your granddaughter through this?" the detective asked, his voice sharp. "No," I said, my voice trembling. "I was separated, and I just happened to find out. I tried my best to defend myself." After 2 hours, I was finally released. I contacted my eldest daughter, Lily, and the couple rushed from the next state by car. I asked them to take care of Lauren, who was in stable condition, and took a taxi back to my son's house. When I looked around, I found my son's travel schedule on his desk. He was supposed to be home the next night. I asked the neighbors about the situation and learned a surprising fact. I went back to the hospital and discussed with my daughter and her husband what to do next. We decided to make a drastic decision. The next evening, when my son and his wife were supposed to be returning home, I left the hospital where Lauren was admitted and visited their house. As soon as Evelyn saw me, she wrinkled her eyebrows and crossed her arms. "What on earth did you come here for?" she asked, her voice dripping with disdain. I was about to break my heart at her continued rudeness, but I couldn't flinch. "I'm here to see Lauren. Show me your face." Evelyn lied, saying that she had left Lauren with a friend. "Come on, it's funny," she said dismissively. "Lauren should have been chained here," I said, my voice rising. "You didn't even look for her when she was gone, did you?" I showed her a picture of my granddaughter taken when I found her. My son and his wife looked at each other, their faces filled with guilt. "Why did you treat your cute daughter like this?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger. Lauren hadn't eaten anything and was shivering from the cold. However, my son and his wife tried to blame Lauren. "It's Lauren's fault," Bradley said, his voice lacking conviction. "She's rebellious, even though we're raising her with love. If we don't keep the chains on, she's going to break everything in the house." They tried to make Lauren the bad guy by lying, and they didn't show any remorse at all. "You two would go out and play late into the night and leave Lauren alone," I said, my voice filled with anger. "You could say that, wouldn't you?" "Sometimes I'm late for work," Evelyn said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Don't be delusional and say weird things. I know everything. You've got a reputation in the neighborhood." I had been going around asking their neighbors about the situation to find out the actual circumstances. When Lauren was a child, I visited her frequently, so there were many familiar faces. They were all worried about my granddaughter and told me about her. "Lauren once stayed alone in a nearby park until late at night," one neighbor told me. "The house was locked even though it was a frigid winter. She was wearing tattered and light clothes. I took care of her in my house every night. Your son and his wife came home late and were seen going to gambling and bars to play. She had a reputation around here for being poor. We didn't do something about it because if I give her the key, Lauren will run amok in the house," Evelyn said, her voice filled with bitterness. "No, it's to keep Lauren from eating food on her own when she's hungry, right? Poor thing. Her body isn't nourished enough and she's very skinny." "I heard about it from Lauren herself at the hospital," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "One day when she was waiting for her parents who came home late, she was so hungry that she ate a cake that was in the refrigerator. However, it seems to have belonged to Evelyn and she is furious. After that, it seems that Lauren did not have the key and was left outside." Evelyn listened to me, her eyes narrowed in anger. "I don't think Lauren is cute because she looks like you," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "Lauren is in the hospital with a diagnosis of malnutrition, and you use my money for your play, not for Lauren," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "Children's money belongs to their parents. It doesn't matter what I use it for. Don't be stingy. It's a crime to leave a child unraised properly, and you've already reported it to the police," I said, my voice filled with righteous anger. When they heard the word police, my son and his wife changed their complexions for a moment, but they immediately replied, "It's not a crime if you say that Lauren is a picky eater. The police won't find out that we don't feed her even if she's skinny. Besides, the neighbor's story is just a rumor and not proof." The two of them smiled triumphantly. "Don't you know that what you're saying right now is recorded?" I asked, my voice calm but firm. "And a picture of you in chains and a medical certificate from the hospital are enough. Some people have testified more clearly." "Who's that?" Evelyn asked, her voice laced with fear. "It was your granddaughter, Lauren herself," I said, my voice filled with satisfaction. At one point, I was suspicious and almost arrested, but thanks to Lauren, the misunderstanding was cleared. My granddaughter said, "It wasn't my grandma who made me feel bad. It was my mom and dad." Thanks to her testimony, the truth came out. My son and his wife were caught red-handed, their escape plan failing. My son and Evelyn became impatient. "Well, wait, tell the police that it's you who chained Lauren. That will save us," Bradley pleaded. "You're Bradley's parent, aren't you? Parents protect their children. Help me." I was stunned by their pale faces and their selfish words. I don't want you to tell me that I mistreated my child because I'm going to stop being a Bradley parent for today, I said, my voice firm and resolute. What, Mother? You won't help me. Is it okay if you don't see Lauren because of this? I won't give her away, Bradley said, his voice filled with desperation. I'm going to cut ties with Bradley and ask him to move out of the house where he was living, I said, my voice cold and emotionless. The house where my son and his wife live is my parents' house, and I rented it to them. No, I don't want to be kicked out because I don't have any money, Evelyn said, her voice filled with fear. Please help me. My son and his wife sat down and begged for forgiveness, but I coldly told them off. It's not me who you have to apologize to, but Lauren, I said. She said she didn't want to see you. I couldn't believe a child would give up on their parents. I thought about my granddaughter's feelings and almost burst into tears. I didn't want to cry in front of these guys. The police arrived. I had informed them in advance of the time when my son and his wife would be coming home. I looked coldly at my son and his wife as they were taken away, crying. After that, as a result of the police interrogation, my son and his wife were found guilty of high maliciousness. Rumors spread in the neighborhood and were widely reported. My son, whose name and face were revealed to the world, was fired from his job and his life completely collapsed. He is now living on the street. Evelyn disappeared, but I heard that she was making money by working in a nightclub. Lauren was to be adopted and raised by me. I was to claim a lump sum of $1 million for Lauren's alimony and child support from my son and his wife. I sold my house and the house I had rented to my son. I bought an apartment near my eldest daughter and her husband and moved in with my granddaughter. My eldest daughter and her husband, who do not have children, are happy to take care of Lauren. I hope that these peaceful and happy days will last forever. Let's conclude the story shortly. The justice system had served its purpose, holding my son and his wife accountable for their cruel actions. The community, shocked and outraged, turned its back on them. Their lives were in ruins, a stark contrast to the peaceful and happy life Lauren and I were building together. Lily and her husband, welcoming Lauren into their family, showered her with love and care. The laughter and warmth that filled our home were a testament to the strength of family and the resilience of the human spirit. I had learned a harsh lesson about the dark side of family, but I also learned the true meaning of love, compassion, and forgiveness. Lauren, my granddaughter, was my beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love can triumph. As the sun set each day, casting a golden glow on our cozy apartment, I would watch Lauren play, her laughter echoing through the room. She was a shining example of innocence and joy, a constant reminder that life, despite its challenges, was worth living. And I, with a heart full of gratitude, knew that I had found peace and happiness in the arms of my granddaughter.